Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Kayfabe. I am Brian Resner, and I have returned. I didn't die. The rumors of my death have been vastly exaggerated, but here I am, and I am with Stephen Barker and Derek Jones, and I had to come back because everyone knows that I am a huge belt mark. And we seen Triple H on Monday Night Raw reveal the new WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And I'm not going to say what I think right now because I really want to hear what you guys think. I know that my opinion on this belt may be different than yours. I'm not sure. I have an opinion on this entire thing that I'm not sure will be the same opinion that you guys have. But I'm going to start with you, Stephen Barker. When we talk about this brand new belt, what comes to mind for you?
It feels redundant. Now, from a design standpoint, I think it's the best thing that WWE has done since the UK belt. Because I think the UK belt, even if it's still active, is the only really good looking belt. It's one thing AEW does way better than WWE. And dude, honestly, UFC doesn't do it very well. Bellator's belts look a lot better than UFC. WWE has made junk shit belts for a while. The design of it, I really like. I don't like the W's. The W's look like there's 3 W's, and that bothers me. I'm going to go with what Adam brought up, since brother Adam's not here, is Derek, doesn't it feel redundant because isn't Roman Reigns carrying a WWE Heavyweight Championship belt?
It's very redundant, and it just there are so many ways they could have done this rather than just introducing a whole new title. And if they were going to do that, they should have unified the other two and called it something completely different already. But they didn't. So now you have 2 WWE World Heavyweight titles and a Universal title. So where do we go? What do we do here?
Well, so where are you, Brian?
This is a really good time for me to start talking about what I think about this, because in my mind, you know me, I always go to armchair booking. And when it comes to armchair booking, when I see this, I don't have a problem with there being 2 world titles, because in my vision of how this should go, there is 2 world titles and a universal title. In my opinion, they should have done something to get the universal title off of Roman. And the reason why I say the universal title off of Roman is because Roman's long reign with the belt started with the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. Now, that belt could still be the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, and he could still continue with that really long reign and knock off Pedro Morales, maybe even the first Bruno spot. But if you've got 2 world titles and a universal, you can have a world title for SmackDown. You can have a world title for Raw. And then you can have a universal title for champions who don't show up every single week. People you still want to put a belt on, but you know is a part-timer. And a part-timer world championship, it just doesn't have the ring of universal champion. So if a universal champion is someone like Brock, someone like Edge, someone even like Cena or The Rock, or anybody who can just give the WWE a certain block of their time, and you can have a belt on them, and they can show up on either show universally. Universal title can universally switch from SmackDown to Raw anytime that champion chooses to. Now, at that point, I would keep the universal title design. But when I unveil a belt, it's going to be the Winged Eagle title for Raw. It's going to be the big gold for SmackDown. And I'm going to bring that in. Why the fuck wouldn't you? It makes no sense to me why you would do it like this, and to just unveil a random design world title. And I'm not saying the title's ugly. It's not ugly. There's nothing wrong with the belt. It's just not the WWE World title. And I don't think it ever is going to be. It kind of gives me Wildcat TNA world title vibes.
Ouch.
So I'm not really digging this as the belt. And what I really didn't like, and I love Triple H. I'm a huge Triple H mark, and you know this, Stephen Barker.
Mhm.
We have went back and forth about Triple H, but Triple H disappointed me on Raw because Triple H not only unveiled a title that I didn't want and that the people didn't give a shit about, but he also buried Roman Reigns for absolutely no reason. Roman Reigns wasn't even in this conversation, but yet we buried Roman Reigns. We unveiled a title that nobody gives a fuck about, and we're all supposed to applaud this failed attempt at pleasing the fans.
Well,
That's my take.
We may need to do another episode after SmackDown because it's there's a good chance that he might just be going to SmackDown and unifying that into one belt and a new design. Hopefully, because I fucking hate that blue-red design. I think it's atrocious. It's terrible as a designer. It's a terrible fucking design. I don't care what anybody says. And if he comes in. No, if he comes in and unifies those and gives him another belt that looks again like a wrestling belt, because that's the thing about the new one that I like. It looks way better than the other two. There's nothing behind it yet because no one's held it. There's no legacy behind it yet. But if he goes Friday and unifies them and gives him another design, then everything that you said is taken care of, right? Just he's universal. This is the world.
I don't think so. I mean, it's a half-assed. Okay, you fixed it. Now we've got two world champions, but I really don't think that it has the same effect as a story like what I was talking about, or a belt sequence like I was talking about, or the freaking nostalgia of having the titles that really mean something to us, or mean something to me at least. I mean, if you're not on that ship, then you, sir, can take your raft back to the island. But I am telling you right now, when I look at the World Heavyweight Championship, I want it to be the Winged Eagle. When I think about a World Heavyweight title, I want to see the big gold. The big gold has so much history. I mean, someone could argue that the Winged Eagle doesn't have enough history to be considered the main World Heavyweight Championship. To those people, I would say you were wrong, but I can see where the big gold is definitely a lineage worth continuing. Why would you not want to have the two greatest designs ever on your show on a constant basis? I mean, I know Derek doesn't agree with me. Derek has already told me to give up the Winged Eagle.
He's going to tell you why. Derek, tell him why. Tell him the financial reason why they don't need to bring it back.
So I tried to look it up just now because I was curious if they had revealed like a pre-order number yet. But that new belt is already available for pre-order. They're already making money on the Winged Eagle. They're not going to do that because they're in a business. They're not in a business of nostalgia. They're in a financial gain business. They're going to make as much money as possible.
They're already buying them.
People are already buying the Winged Eagle. I got one.
Well, listen, I've got one behind me as well.
There you go.
You go buy another one?
What? Well, no, here's the thing. Would you not think that Winged Eagle sales would go through the roof? Sure, they sold one to you. They sold one to me. But there's probably a ton of people that don't have the Winged Eagle.
I don't know, man.
If it was back, they would sell the Winged Eagle just like they're selling this.
I think it's because it's so universally loved, like you're talking about. I think the belt marks, who are belt marks, and you two obviously are, you already got it. You know, they're wanting new. Look, man, Derek Jones, he works at Walmart. He runs a motherfucker. He knows. Do you want the same shit that everyone's already purchased, or do you want a new item for new things for people to purchase?
I want new people in the door.
All right, so I know we're talking about the new belt. I'm kind of going to go off on a spider web here, but it circles back around. What I will say is, if the WWE wants to make some money off of their belts, instead of going through the trouble of having a graphic design student shit on a strap and make the ugliest custom titles that you can find to try and sell us in a coffin for $750, why don't you actually put together belts that are on leather, that come thick and made of brass? Why are these things not the creme de la creme? We're paying creme de la creme prices. Why is it that I can get a nicer, better quality belt from some guy in a cave in Pakistan for $200, or I spend $500 on a WWE belt and it shows up and the jewels fall out as I hand it to my friend so he can see it? They fall out into the floor. Now I've got to go find an epoxy. Now I'm a belt maker. When I could have just called a guy in a cave in Pakistan and he just sent me a way better belt on higher quality leather. That's not even leather that the WWE is sending me. So if you want to sell belts, maybe instead of creating new designs to unveil on Raw, maybe you just make amazing belts and stick to the designs that have lineage and history. That's, once again, just my opinion.
Well, I'm going to shit on Walmart now since I put them over in the last segment. It's because cheaper materials means higher profit. They don't give a fuck. Like, look, I was at WrestleCade and the belt guy that was always at WrestleCade, he sells, and I'm pretty sure they're licensed. So I think they're licensed out to better belt makers. These were like $1,500, $25. I think his winged eagle was $2,500. So that does exist. WWE knows that not a lot of people is going to spend $2,500 on like the tip top of shape. Just send that shit to China. They make it on fake leather. Some motherfucker is going to still buy it for $500, and their profit is probably $450.
What I'm saying is the guy in Pakistan in the cave is giving it to me for $200. This guy's trying to sell it to me for $1,500. What I'm saying is this can be done. The WWE can do this.
We don't know the price of materials in Pakistan. For all we know, that leather's cheap for that guy.
But the WWE can go to fucking Pakistan. Like, this can happen. This is not out of reach.
Dude, if you want that high quality shit, bring $2,500 to WrestleCade next year and you can get the gold. You can get the big gold on the brown strap. That's just as nice as the one that Ric Flair carried, but it's $2,500.
Or I can send $200 to a cave in Pakistan. It doesn't make any sense to me. The belt trade could be better, and that's what I'm saying. And I am happy that we have another slot for someone else to be in the main event. That is what I'm happy about. I am not happy with the belt design, and it is not the design. The belt maker should get a pat on the back for doing a great value version of the big gold.
It's a good belt. It's a good belt.
I mean, it's an okay belt.
It's
not the big gold.
It's
a horrible belt.
Here's the thing, though, is if you were like dating a 3 and you get a 7, that 7's like a 10 compared to what WWE has made. The last good belt that everyone talks about, I'm really partial to the UK, and not a lot of people will even talk about that belt. But before the UK belt, was it the spinner belt? That sucked. Was it the big circle? Like if you think of like the Rock,
Triple H's belt,
that was okay. They haven't had a great.
That was just another version of the winged eagle,
but it wasn't as good.
Version. No,
and it wasn't as good. So we've had 25 or 30 years of shit belts. This compared to everything before that, man. If a hungry man or a starving man gets a cracker, that cracker tastes great. Yeah, and that's why this belt is so good.
But you just said it yourself. The NXT UK belt was beautiful, and it wasn't that long ago that they made it. So,
well, I'm actually going to say, honestly, I think that belts like the North American Championship in NXT,
I like it,
and the UK belt, like you're talking about, even the Cruiserweight Championship. The Cruiserweight Championship was a good-looking belt. These belts, though, stand out as really good-looking belts because of that fact. Because if the Winged Eagle's out, none of those belts look that cool. The North American title don't look like shit compared to the Winged Eagle. You don't see the UK belt in all of its glory, looking better than the winged eagle. That's not a thing. So these belts stand out. You think I'd be talking about the cruiserweight fucking title if the winged eagle's sitting beside of it? Absolutely not. But we look at these belts as superior belts because of the belt pool that they're currently in. If you bring the big gold to the table, you even bring the United States Championship, the original United States Championship out. These belts don't compare to these belts.
It's not even close.
Yeah. And you can totally tell that the guy who designed that U.S. title designed this belt.
The U.S. title sucks, man. I hate that U.S. title.
That new U.S. title and this new title stinks of that U.S. title.
This one's better than that, I think.
You going to tell me it's not the same designer? You can't look at it and tell that that's the same designer.
Oh, I'm not saying if it's a designer. I don't know about that. I'm just saying it's the best thing that WWE has made since the UK belt. And before that, it was like the winged eagle. They've had shit belts, man. Those belts that Roman Reigns carries, those suck, man. That's awful. Just blue background, red background.
Those are ugly. Even the black background one wasn't that great. It was not good. It was a disappointment at best. When your belt is less than the spinner belt, you know you've really got a shit belt at that point.
Yeah. But this one
where we are.
But this new one's better than the spinner belt by a lot.
This new belt is better than the spinner belt. This new belt is better than the network logo belt. This new belt is better than I think that's it. But other than that, if you put this new belt beside of the winged eagle, it looks like trash.
And in closing, I would like to see how many comments we have. It's spelled REZNOR of OK Boomer in the comment section.
Hey, you can boomer me all day, but that's the world title in my opinion. Derek, before we go, I have to hear from you, and you tell me how you would have split the belts.
I've already booked the split of the belts, and they've ruined
that. That was 2-3 videos ago.
The split should have happened at Mania. Cody should have won, and I understand there's still a lot for Cody to do, and there's a great story that they're going to tell. But Cody should have won at Mania, and you have a great Paul Heyman that manipulated a contract before they ever stepped through the ropes, so he only won one of those titles.
That
copyright Derek Jones.
It would have been beautiful.
It would have been great. He picks up both belts, and Paul rips one out of his hands.
Yep. And that one would be the one that he's held the longest, so he can continue rolling forward.
Yes.
Yeah, and I mean, Roman beating Pedro Morales and even Bruno Sammartino, that's the first Bruno Sammartino spot.
3 years.
If he could bust all, like, both of those, then that'd be great. That'd be something awesome to tell a story about. So I mean, I'm with you 100%. That is one way they could have split those titles for sure.
Yeah, and then once Roman has finally beat that record, okay, let's unify the titles, title versus title match after we have a modern day record holder.
Or just leave them split, because it's always a bad idea when they unify them. It's cool for about 2 months. And then it's like,
Roman has made it feel important and big.
No. Roman is awesome, and everything Roman has done is awesome. But the fact of 2 belts on one guy sets in about 2 months when you're like, oh wow, we're gonna have a women's main event at WrestleMania this year. All that stuff sets in. And you realize that you don't have 2 champions. You have 2 shows, but you don't have 2 champions, and everything kind of gets off balance unless they put that one champion on both shows consistently, and they couldn't.
And that anti-woman match comment, that's REZNOR for the 7 women who listen to the House of Kayfabe. Go ahead and hit the comment section on that one. Wrap us up, Brian.
All right. Thank you for joining us. We will be back right here on the House of Kayfabe. And yes, leave your comments to me.